Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Nauris Firdaus and my last three-digit number is 125. Here I want to show my analysis about a poetry named Morning at the Window by Eliot. This poetry is I focus in the after-war imagery condition in poetry. So here I want to show you my explanation about this poetry. So before we go to the analysis, I want to show you the poetry, which is written by Thomas Terence Eliot, and I want to read this. Morning at the Window by Thomas Terence Eliot. There are rattling breakfast plates in basement kitchen, and along the trampled edges of the street, I am aware of the term souls of housemaid, sporting despondency at area gates. The brown wares of folk toss up to me, to his face from the bottom of the street, and tear from passerby with muddy skirt. And I am lost their lovers in the air, and vanishes around the level of the rose. So next to my analysis. So the first is introduction, Morning at the Window poetry. So Morning at the Window is a poem by T.S. Eliot in his book Provoke and Other Appreciation that released in 1917. So this book is an observation of the surrounding about life as it paints the image of people living in their everyday life as described in the poetry. So this is like how Eliot is portrayed the condition in his surrounding, in his place of life, and this is getting supported by Julia Bella research in 2017. That she mentioned that the character is in the window, like put the character of hand into the frame of the window, observing the surrounding outside of the place, outside of the house or anything that from his house, and describing the poverty in a modern city as everyday life. So this is so the character is describing the World War One condition by the war that Eliot is arranged. And another research paper by Muhammad Jabbar Mahdil Abdullah in 2021, which is last year, described the suffering that happened in the port. So it compiled the suffering, sadness in the poem, which is this poem, the Morning at the Window poetry. From the first stanza, it described the suffering of the working class and the housemaid, as what I read in the poem. The housemaid is rambling with the things in the kitchen, and the second stanza will describe the sadness of the people that pass through the window, like the passerby that have a flippant face and showing the disappointment and despair. Morning at the Window depict the tale as procession about modern urban life after World War I. It portrays the economy. It highlights the economic things of the where people were living. It mentioned human activities and time, like when the housekeeper roam in the kitchen and the poverty and the dust and the fog that arranged in this poem. So next to the analysis and focus on issue, I focused the researcher, which is me, focus on the post-World War condition portrayal that taught in the poverty and in the poetry. It will be convinced by the literary device and language that I will describe in the next slide. So the first analysis is element, Morning at the Window poetry. The first is theme. The theme is poverty. Why choose poverty as a theme? Because the sentence that arranged is tell the reader that is the poverty that surround of the character, which we can see as what the brown color sentences here. They are rattling breakfast plates in the basement kitchen. So they are also rattling of whose railing is the housemaid, of course, and twisted face, and for bottom of the street, and tear from a passerby with middle skirt. It portrayed the tears in the eyes of a girl, the aimless smile of a person who tries and fails. Smile is Dorella is an indicator of the sadness and frustration as well as poverty. We know that, and then rhyme is unrhymed because it not using female or male rhyme. So we know that the rhyme is not have any rhyme that used in this poetry. Next is tone using sad and nostalgic, and why using sad and nostalgic, because yeah, there are also nostalgic uh, uh, condition and sad, of course. It is also so sad in this poetry, and form of this poetry is using Spencer stanza, which we know it have uh, 6 line, and yeah, this is the analysis, the first analysis. And why we use the poverty is the last sentence. I forgot to mention the last sentence is and finish along the level of the right roof, which the like a slum place where there's so many story house that have a level of the roofs. So this show the slum place, or maybe poverty, or surrounding of the character that show us the poverty and the modern era of after of post World War I, and is the element is using figurative language. This is the example that I choose. Why I said this is a figurative language. And tear from a passerby with miniskirt. In experience and revealing life, a poet considered as knowing everything. Other people do not know that we the poet is considered knowing everything that the other people, as we as a reader do not know, by using diction, choice of word, and he can present it within the poems. Like there, the denotative mean of tears we know is a water that came out from our eyes, that we will maybe uh, crying, that the water from our eyes is getting out, came out. But the connotative meaning is tears, sadness, fear, anxiety, despair of the character that portrayed in the poetry. So the language is, of course, using figurative language, because most of the poetry using figurative language to make it more dreamy, more beautiful, and more touch the reader heart or anything. Next analysis element is literary devices. There are so many literary devices in this poetry, of course. The first is metaphor, which to just twist that face is unhappy flesh workers, like yeah, we know the twisted face, but it's not literally twisted, but it's like we yes, it's an unhappy face worker, and them souls is happy with desperation, unable to free them. Is like our soul is not free, is not yeah, we feel like something that heavy that we bring. So the metaphor word, the metaphor is one of the literary devices that used in this poem. Next is visual imagery that appeals our sense or hearing, or auditory imagery that appeals our sense of smell, taste, internal sensation, tension, and anything that will support the story, support the poem, to make it more visual that we can imagine it. Like the basement kitchen, trampled edge of the street, muddy skirt, twisted face, and anything, and aimless smile that you can see in the poetry. The next is symbol, basement, fog, brown waves of the log. This are is a symbol of which shows us that there are so many things that make the poetries have a lot of meaning. So like brown waves of the fog, we know brown waves is like the amount of workers passing by the dusty road, so it makes a brown fog. And next is personification. Folk toes up to me. We know toes up is like something that people that human can do, but the fog is uh, make it as personification that pollution which is being consequent of the industrial of other cities, like toast the face, toast the character. Maybe when he sitting down and place his arm in the frame of the window, so the fog is toast her face. So that is why personification is using it will make it beautier, more beauty of this poetry, of course. And this is the conclusion of this analysis. So literary device and figurative language support to the peak the situation of post World War One condition, whereas in the goal of the poetry, by looking at the window, the character of the story try to show us where there are many things happen in the surrounding. So the poetry is conclude all of them in this poetry, and this is my bibliography. Thank you.